Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Kitty. On my channel, I do like to do storytelling, which includes scary stories and stories of my personal life. I also do vlog videos, makeup related videos, live streams, and I do shopping hauls. So if one of those things speaks to you, make sure to subscribe to my channel. That way, anytime I post something here, you will be the first one to be notified. As you can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be reading some scary stories that you have sent in. Make sure to keep watching until the very end. Our first story happens in Michoacan, Mexico. Hey Kitty, hope you're doing well. These are a few incidences that have happened in my great-grandparents' house, which is located in the estate of Michoacan, Mexico. A little backstory: the land where the house is now built used to be a part of the hacienda back in the early 1900s. It became my family's house after the revolution, but before that, brick and tiles were made there. Needless to say, it has seen a lot of stuff. This story happened in the late 50s. My grandma had a small convenience store in one part of our house. Sometimes before sunset, a pair of owls would perch themselves right outside of the door to the store. Us Mexicans associate owls with either death, witchcraft, or see them as nojales, a person who can turn into an animal with witchcraft. One of my grandma's brothers was out playing when my great-grandmother saw the owls and yelled at him to shoot them so they would go away. Right after she said that, the owls repeated what she said as if mocking her and left. My grandma was really young when this happened, so she doesn't really remember what their reactions were. She also says it was most likely two women that lived close by who were known to do witchcraft. On the low, I'm interested in paranormal everything, and I've heard stories of these shapeshifters, and most of the time they are owls, which is really crazy because in the native culture we see owls as a bad sign as well. So it's just kind of interesting that Mexicans do too as well, and it's just kind of creepy. So if any of you who are Mexican or have ties to Mexico or have any kind of stories about brujas or these owls, make sure to send them our way because those stories interest me as well. Thank you for sending in your story. This next story happens in Farmington, New Mexico. So this happened in Farmington, New Mexico, close to Twin Peaks, past 12 in the morning. My lady's dad wanted to take us to his old hangout spot where he and his friends would party during his high school days. It was in the back roads. Of course, on the res, everybody goes to party in the back roads. There's always something going on back there too. Okay, as we were getting deep out there, coming from the left side, this thing that was about 8 feet tall or so came out from the tall bushes on its hind legs in front of us, covered in sheepskin and some kind of animal head. It slowly walked across and stared at us once it got right in front of the truck, then continued walking all the way across the road. We got so freaked out and drove off fast. I will never forget that. Ew, just imagine you're out partying and you see something like that. That just reminds me of a story that I really want to tell, but I really need to get a little bit more detail. So when I do get some, it happened in San Carlos, I will for sure tell that here coming up soon. Thank you for sending in the story. Just imagine being out there partying, taking a tour, and you see something like that. No way. Let's move to the next story. This story comes from Mexico. Hello, I'm a new subscriber. I love your videos, so I thought of sharing a story. This story didn't happen to me, but I've heard it several times by my tia. I'm Mexican and live in Mexico. We have a lot of legends, beliefs, and stories. Usually, most of them are really well known. I've heard some stories from Mexico. All my Mexicans, people who have grandmas, relatives, whatever in Mexico, you guys have some creepy ass stories. I would love to hear more. One is really aware of them, especially if the elders speak of them or if they are believers or of native descent in the family. This happened to my dad and my tio, aunt and uncles, around the late 80s, early 90s. It was about time where my abuelita was working almost a whole day and came home at night. So one time she came home from work and they were all hungry but didn't know what to eat. So my grandma just said to my dad, "Why don't you go ahead and go get us some tacos?" They all agreed, and my dad went a couple of blocks away to a stand of tacos and went ahead and bought some. After he was done, he was gonna go ahead and be on his way, but he noticed a big black dog. I imagine that at this point he was already kind of scared. He started walking back home, but the dog started following him and didn't seem to stop. So my dad started rushing home. Mind you, that my dad, aunt, and uncles were not more than 12 years old when this happened. My tia tells me that my dad came home banging on the door, agitated and scared. When they opened the door, he came in fast and closed the door quickly. He started crying because he said that there was a big black dog with red eyes following him, that it was still outside. My abuelita went to go see through the window, but she told him that there was nothing outside. My dad kept crying and telling her that it was still there. So then my aunt went and saw through the window. She saw the black dog with red eyes and started to freak out as well. My abuelita couldn't see anything. My dad and aunt insisted it was there outside. My abuelita never saw it. I can't exactly remember what happened after, since it has been a while since she last told me, but I think it eventually went away. I do recall my aunt describing it as being so ugly and scary looking. I could only imagine my abuelita had to close the curtain to calm her children down. I know where this happened. To this day, it still occurs, and it's a really noisy small city. We don't live there, but I come to imagine that there were a lot of people there, and there is a lot of energy that is not all good. To this day, I can only imagine that it was a Naguel, a witch, either a man or a woman, that's believed that is able to transform into a dog. So like a shapeshifter. Someone said that in the last story too, but it was for an owl. Lucky we don't live in the smaller place now. That's my story. Maybe someday somebody who watches knows what I'm talking about. Sorry if I misspelled any words. In English is not my native language. Have a good day or night. I love your videos. I wish you well. Greetings and love from Mexico. Wow. Ew, I just got chills thinking about that. But you know what? I am really excited and I'm looking forward to hearing more of these kinds of stories from Mexico. I listened to so many about brujas and the owls and just bad stuff that goes on there. It's just crazy because I feel like you guys have a lot of similarities in beliefs as like the native people, and to me, in my eyes, you guys are natives. You guys are natives. We're just all natives, all brown people on one land. But anyway, I'm so interested to hear more stories from Mexico. So any of you that are from Mexico or have ties, please send them my way. Let's get into one more story. I remember my ex telling me what happened when he was with his friends on a lake on the reservation in northern Wisconsin. They were in their early 20s. It was in the early hours of 12 or 1. They were sitting outside just hanging out when they saw a craft hovering over the lake and a bright light beamed down on them. My man started walking toward it like, bring it on. The next thing he remembered is the craft leaving and vanishing. Meanwhile, his friend ran into the cabin. A couple of hours were lost. It was like a time lapse. So now, 30 or 40 years later, while working at the register at Walmart, he passed out and dropped to the floor. They took him to the hospital and had x-rays. The doctor said, "Did you know you have metal in your head? There's a piece in the middle of your forehead and one on the side by your temples. Were you in the service?" He said, "No, I never was," and immediately thought about the craft he encountered when he was young on the reservation in northern Wisconsin. Ew, that's like some fire in the sky stuff. That's creepy. You know what? You know what? I don't know about these beings, but a lot of times they be coming off as evil, and I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy. If anybody has any UFO encounters or experiences, let me know. I've also heard of the Hopi tribe talking about them. So any Hopis out there want to shed some light on that? That would be really cool to hear. But this one right here, that's crazy. I have heard a lot of stories of people getting abducted, and they do say that when someone is abducted, that they're more likely to be followed throughout their life by these beings. I don't know, they're chosen in some way. So I have spoke to someone who feels like they have been abducted, and they strongly believe that they're always visited by the same type of beings, and it's just really interesting but creepy as hell. I don't wish that on me. I don't wish that on nobody. But if you guys have anything similar to the story, please make sure to send them in. If you want to send in your scary story experience, it doesn't have to be your personal one. It could be a family member's, your ex, whatever. Make sure to type it out, and the more detailed, the better. Go ahead and send it over to my email, which is whatwouldkittydo12@gmail.com. I am running low, so I do need more stories. Thank you guys for making it this far. If you guys like these stories, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe, because I also have other story times coming up that is not scary story related. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.